this moment stands like clear as day, and she just goes, "Jump in, the water is fine." And I was like, that
Yeah.
is insane. That's an insane thing to say. Um, because she was speaking from, 30 or more years in
Yeah.
their business, and the water really was fine. And I think of it often. I'm like, oh yeah, the water is fine. And kind of like jumping in because it really is like, not to say you can't ever go back to a traditional career path or a salaried job, but it does feel like once you've jumped into that pool of water, it's like, oh, this is different. Like
Yeah.
everything is different.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know how I would go back at this point. It's just too creative and too fun and too evolving to maybe do something else.
Welcome to Mastering the Numbers, the podcast dedicated to providing insights into business and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Joe Mallo. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mastering the Numbers. I am Joe Mallo with the Lead Edge Consulting Group. Excited to have another guest on today, Bridget Tipton. She is the owner, architect, and interior designer for Studio Inlay, but she's got a lot more going on than that. She's also an adjunct professor at Kent State University, and she's also the co-owner of Bell Tower Brewery in Kent. So truly an entrepreneur with multiple things going on. Bridget, thank you very much for taking some time to spend it with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited
Yeah,
to have a
absolutely.
conversation about all of these things.
Me as well. There's a lot going on there. So,
Yeah.
why don't you start off? Let the audience know. Tell us a little bit about Studio Inlay, and then if you want to touch on, Kent State and Bell Tower, that'd be great too.
Yeah, so I'm an architect and interior designer, both by education and practice. I spent a good deal of time at Kent State, and then I did my master's program in architecture at the CUDC. So I just wanted to step a little bit outside of Kent after having the first two degrees completed at the main campus. So wanted to try something new there, but um, I graduated as an interior designer, went right into practice in a traditional route, and started working at a couple different firms, small to mid-sized firms. I did not really work at a very, very large firm. And I pretty quickly learned the structural limitations of the interior design degree. I absolutely love interior design. I deeply appreciate my education. That's actually the program in which I am an adjunct professor at Kent State. It's not in the architecture department, it's in interior design. But there are just some legislative issues around interior design that isn't recognized or supported as a profession in the same way that architecture is. So I had some ambitions and wanted to rise through leadership at firms and things, and pretty quickly realized that the kind of smoothest path for that would include a degree in architecture. So I went back to school and did that. So that's kind of what brought me to Studio Inlay. I didn't exactly have a precise goal of being an entrepreneur or a multi-entrepreneur. Um, I didn't definitely did not set out to run my own architecture and interior design firm. Um, it's just sort of how things have happened.
Right.
Um, so Studio Inlay kind of began after my husband and our third business partner began Bell Tower Brewing. And I realized pretty quickly that I was probably not ever going to return to a traditional workplace. My life needed a little bit more flexibility. The unpredictability of running a new brewery and restaurant um, was, we just didn't know what we were kind of getting into.
Yeah.
So I just started doing some freelancing consulting for other architects in town. Kent is in a unique position where there's sort of a whole generation of architects who have went to Kent State. Some were from here, some most of them moved here from out of state, liked Kent, stayed. That's my story too, and developed a practice here in Kent. So most of them are of one generation, and they're either already retired or about to retire. So the few who are still practicing, I've consulted with and worked for all of them. I'm a very community-minded person. I love being connected in the community, and that's kind of almost a part of I consider it part of my job, or jobs. And so Studio Inlay began by subcontracting for these other architects who were solopreneurs and needed some um, support on their projects. They've been working for 30 to 40 years, and the referrals were just rolling in now. And they are trying to wind down their work, um, but it's like too easy at this point for them to stop. So we've been working together for a few years, and over the last probably about 12 months, I've started getting more projects that are just mine, both interior design and architecture, and then still doing some of the consulting as we work to transition um, the primary person that I consult with, transition him to full retirement, which is his goal. So, and my goal, I'm
Yeah.
putting my foot on the gas. But Studio Inlay does residential and commercial work. Um, I have found that I prefer work that is a little bit complex. I love additions and renovations over new construction. That is probably because my interiors background was sort of the foundation for what I do. And that's always kind of working within certain parameters, usually an existing building or a core and shell, like of a um, supporting an architect team. So I love those. And then in particular, even like more specific than that, I really like older buildings. So whether they're truly historic by definition or they just have had layers of people who've used them over time or done their own thing or adapted them or I love being just kind of like one more step in the life of a building. So that's really where Inlay came from as a company name and philosophy. I really want to be a collaborator both with the either the homeowner or the business owner, come alongside and like really inlay with what they're already doing, strengthening it, making it more supportive for the life that they want, more beautiful, more functional. I'm not really interested in this like master plan vision where you come in and kind of remove all that's there and just like always start fresh. And I think there's probably too much potential in everything that's already there. It just kind of needs to be
Yeah.
reworked. So that's really my design philosophy. It's both from a there's some sustainability in the idea of historic preservation or adaptive reuse, where it's better for the planet to just use and love the buildings that we already have. Um, I'm not precious about protecting history. As much as like I don't think we need to freeze anything in a moment in time. I'm really interested in like bringing new life to old buildings in a way that supports like the modern world. And
Yeah.
what I do think that the best way to take care of old buildings is to use them and to love them.
Yeah.
And often that
Yeah.
means that they need to be updated to a place that in the 1800s, it wouldn't be able to be used and loved today if we left
Right.
it
Right.
frozen and precious. And
Right.
so it's really this like interaction between what building is there, what life is happening there, and then how can we make that like more beautiful, more functional. Um, so that's really like what I hope to do. And so it's a little unusual to do architecture and interior design, commercial and residential. But that's just sort of the path that I've been on. Like every life experience has just contributed to that now being the like cumulative philosophy that I have. I am definitely honing in on the idea that this adaptive reuse, addition renovation piece is that common thread in all the projects that I feel most like connected to or most like invigorated to work on. There's an
Yeah.
element of that in all of them.
Yeah. How do you or what have been some of the biggest challenges that you had as you went from working for the other architects in Kent to now taking on some of their clients and then people retiring? Well, what have been some of the biggest challenges as you're growing Studio Inlay?
Yeah, well, I'm a woman, and so only 27% of all registered architects in the United States are women. Um, so I'm in the minority with that. I am running my own company. Um, and so there are very, very few women entrepreneurs who are running a six-figure business. So I'm in the minority there. I look younger than I am. And I'm working alongside people who are in their mid to late 60s all the way to their mid 70s. And so I encounter challenges that have
Yeah.
to do with just kind of how I show up um, as a younger person, as a woman. I think it's going okay. You know, some of the projects are happening because I am those things. Specifically, they're like, we want to work with someone who has kind of like your point of view, whatever, you know, that includes. Um, and then there are other times where I'm not maybe taken so seriously. I do a ton of work with zoning boards, planning commissions, architectural and historic review boards. And those boards are typically made up of, you know, not late 30s women.
Right.
I have to kind of like demonstrate some of my expertise in a way that you would hope that you know, the people that I consult for probably do not have to like prove that before we kind of get
Right.
into the meat of what we're there to do for those meetings. So I encounter some of that. I now know to expect it. And when it doesn't happen, it's great. I just kind of move on. But establishing myself as a technical expert and not something less than that is part of what I have to kind of routinely do. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Well,
been a challenge.
so I mean, certainly every business owner has challenges, and everybody's challenges shape themselves and of course the organization. So, I mean, how have all those challenged helped shape your organization to where it is now?
Yeah, so I have very recently decided to kind of like stand in that and just like I can't change those things and I don't really want to change those things. I think that's what sets Studio Inlay apart from the firms that I'm collaborating with and from when I just kind of like look around the landscape of solopreneurs in this discipline. There are a few and I hold them in very high regard, but there just aren't that many. So like for the people who are looking for service delivered in the way that I deliver it, like that will be a differentiator. So I'm no longer trying to like work against that because I can't do anything about it anyway.
Yeah.
But sort of like claiming it and standing in it is a very kind of recent development for me. But I'm going for it. I just
Yeah.
completed the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program, and that was a big contributing factor to where I'm at like today, where it's like, okay, we're gonna grow this thing. We're gonna go for it. This is how we're gonna do it. The flavor is gonna be, you know, this historic adaptive reuse addition renovation. And then kind of really owning the fact that I'm the face of this business and that this is who it is kind of thing. So
Yeah. Yeah, I always love seeing old buildings turned into something. I mean, of course, whether it's downtown Akron or Cleveland, there's a lot of buildings that are just sitting vacant. It's awesome to see them not necessarily get renovated. I guess they are getting renovated, but well, like you said, they're actually being used, and they're really cool on the inside. So that's great that you're doing that. Is there anything when you look at your business? Because how long has Studio Inlay been around?
um 3 years, 3.5 years.
Okay. So over the last 3 years growing the business, is there anything that you look at and say, I wish I would have done that a little differently? Not not different, not a different career path, but just, growing the business.
Yeah, I think if I could have been where I am now sooner, that would have been really fun. Where just from a mindset perspective
Yeah.
of really kind of standing in what I have developed as my expertise. And I think time contributes to that anyway. So I don't know that I could have done that sooner. I think I wish I would have invested in like clear messaging, clear branding, getting my website polished, which are all things that are happening like right now, yesterday. So those things are going to feel a little bit more aligned with who I am and where I'm headed and what I've been able to do over the last couple of years. Some of that though is like I just wasn't ready, I guess. I didn't have that mindset, didn't have the confidence, didn't
Yeah.
have acquired and worked through that experience. So um I think probably in the next 3 years, the answer will be I should have hired sooner. So that's where I'm looking to go right now.
Yeah.
And I'm really hopeful that bringing on um, a permanent team member or a full-time team member will be the thing that's like, oh, that's what I should have done before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, I think that that will be the answer in the next 3 years. Um, but I feel okay. It's just been really organic growth. I've been distracted, not distracted, intentionally focused on other things. I helped my husband and our third business partner build, like design, build, begin, maintain Bell Tower Brewing. And so that is a very, very big business and has lots of staff and lots of moving parts. And it was a new industry for all of us. And just needed a lot more time and attention. So I didn't have all of the time and energy to put towards Studio Inlay. But that I don't have a regret about that. That was like a calculated choice. Like the Bell Tower needed all of that love and attention
Yeah.
um, to get it to where it is today. And I'm like really excited to now have the capacity to really turn towards um, design and architecture, which has always been my like primary focus goal,
Yeah.
creative interest, career passion. Like it takes a lot of schooling, and then there's like kind of an apprenticeship type program where you have to work a few thousand hours under someone. And so it's been a long time coming that I can even be in this place to be able to, make decisions about what type of work I want to do and all that.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be here now, that kind of thing. But I don't have very
Yeah.
many I don't have very many regrets. It has all sort
That's
of
good.
evolved naturally, so it kind
That's
of is
good.
what it is. Yeah.
Well, I've been to Bell Tower Brewery multiple times, actually quite a few times before I ever even met you. Before I knew you were the owner or a co-owner, and it's beautiful on the inside and outside. So you've done a heck of a job. Let me ask you this. I always ask this question of everybody. I mean, you have Studio Inlay, you have Bell Tower Brewery, which you told me that you actually ended up in the kitchen last weekend, and then of course you're a professor. How do you find any semblance of work-life integration or balance? Is that even something that's even possible right now?
Um, it's I don't know. I mean, I've kind of like always been this way. People are like, "How do you do this?" I was like, "I've been this way since I was 11." Like, I would do homework all night long and work on projects and read books. Like, I just kind of have always been this way. I don't really know why I'm like this. Like, I've been to therapy. I don't think it's a trauma response anymore. Like, I think I just like making stuff exist that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
And that's true of like the restaurant and hospitality space, like making like my favorite weekends at the brewery are graduation weekends for Kent State. It happens 3 times a year, and it's like we get to bear witness to the most like proud moments of these people's lives, and it's like the coolest thing in the world. And so without that like environment and staffing and all the products that we get to deliver to the table for that moment, like I love making that stuff exist. Like it wouldn't otherwise exist. So I love that. Same with building, like there's nothing more satisfying than walking through a structure that didn't exist before. Um, and education, like just seeing people like come alive when they realize they now know how to do something that they didn't used to know how to do. Like that stuff
yeah,
fuels me. Um, it helps that I'm in the business with my husband and life partner, and so we get a lot of overlap in what we do, and we love. We used to work on separate things, and as I kind of build the architecture and interior design business, we're gonna kind of see how this goes. But we used to work in like a really divided way. I've always worked this earnestly towards everything, and it helps that we're like rowing in the same direction. So we're doing that together. So our life overlap is our work overlap. And when each of us, and me in particular, are as passionate about our work as we are, like life and work feel like the same thing to me. Like I have the flexibility over my schedule. I fill it to the max, but I do have the flexibility over my schedule to kind of plug in my like nice doctor's appointments or reorganize things so that when my out of state family comes, I'm 100% available. Like, I don't think about time in the way that I used to when I worked, in a salary job. So it's just like more mine, I guess, more fluid. And
Yeah.
I don't really have a lot of hobbies. People like to ask that question. I don't do that. I've never really done that. So I don't know. Life is um, full. I've rephrased it. People are like, "How are things?" I'm like, it's full, it's abundant. Like I'm
Yeah.
doing all more than I've ever I do more now than I ever thought I would do in an entire lifetime. And so I'm just sort of like riding the the wave of all this. Like it's great. I don't know. It keeps me
Yeah.
going. It sounds like a lot to a lot of people. And there are days, like every once in a while I need a day where it's like I cannot do anything, be anything, produce anything, talk to anyone. So
Yeah.
that happens, maybe once a month, but um
Yeah,
I don't
everybody needs to refresh a little bit. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if you love what you do, it's not a problem being busy. So
Yeah. There are definitely
as
tasks where I'm
long as
like,
not,
I wish someone else was doing this right now, but
yeah,
it passes, and all the
yeah,
like benefits of doing all that work are what comes to. So it's
yeah,
just it's very fun.
yeah. Awesome. So now you can break this into two parts. I mean, the Studio Inlay and also Bell Tower Brewing. This is for people that might be thinking about going to either one of those as a career. What do you find most challenging about those two industries?
Um, mm, there are more challenges with the hospitality space for me than the design space, just because so like on the Bell Tower side we have 65 employees, ranging full-time to part-time. And all of those people come to this place of employment as their full selves. And so there's a lot of like life that happens as it overlaps with employment. And I don't mean it
Right.
like in a crazy bad way, but there just are challenges that come with that. Like you have an intimate view of a lot of people's lives that are some of which are pretty chaotic, just because
Yeah.
of a whole bunch of reasons. Some are choices, some are not. Um, and so there are a lot of challenges with that. Just like the scale and scope of that business is enormous. It has a complete life of its own. It now is like running. It's outside of us. Like it's way far and beyond what we thought it could be. On the architecture side, it's the normal disciplinary challenges. Working with different jurisdictions, um, budget issues, client expectations, timeline challenges, communication, people changing their minds about what they thought they wanted, things like that. But that's kind of like, I don't think that's unique to entrepreneurship. That's the whole discipline kind of works that way. And um, so on that side, I'm working to develop some processes that will help to streamline some of the common like recurrent pain points. Um, and that's the kind of like phase of growth that I think that Studio Inlay is in right now, which is super exciting. I love doing new stuff, like figuring out a better way to do stuff. So um, there are different challenges for both. I think the biggest thing is that I had no idea about either of these things before I did them. Um, and if I had known, I don't know that I would have done it. Probably not, but I'm super committed just like as a core value to continual learning. And so that was to be an entrepreneur in multiple spaces is the best place for someone like that. Like if you're constantly curious about learning new stuff or like you're not afraid of not knowing what you don't know and just sort of like working through it and figuring it out, then entrepreneurship is like the perfect spot. And it could be in, any kind of discipline or focus, but that's been really fun, I would say. The
Awesome.
chaos, I kind of like the chaos.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
sometimes you have to enjoy it because you can't get rid of
Yeah.
it all the time. So
This is wild.
especially, especially in the restaurant world, for sure, with that many employees. So I guess the big question is, where do you see Studio Inlay in the next? 12 to 36 months.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a person. I'm gonna have a
Yeah.
full-time person. I've been working with contractors that, by their very nature are flexible,
Yeah.
seasonal, project-based, that type of thing. I would like to have a person. I probably work better on a team than I do alone. I have like a sense of accountability and responsibility to that other person that I really like would prioritize their salary over worrying about my own kind of thing, and it
Yeah.
it would just be better for the business. So I'm really hopeful to have a full-time person. And then clarifying the vision and the voice rolling right out of the 10,000 Small Businesses program, um, getting the branding kind of tightened up and working hard to kind of attract the right clients. Like I'm really
Yeah.
excited to get to that place. I haven't been particularly selective in the work that I've done, and I appreciate, like, again, commitment to continual learning. I don't count any of those things as like a waste, even if they
Yeah.
don't align with where I think my future vision will be. I see value and usefulness in all of that stuff. That's gotten me kind of to this point, but I'm really excited to have the right stuff out there so that when people find me,
Yeah.
they're like, oh yeah, this is where I want to go with my project. Like this is who I want to entrust the investment of my home improvement
Yeah.
to this person and or to this firm because I'll have a person. I'm gonna have a full-time person.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I just sort of like that clear vision, attracting the right clients. And I don't know that I'm in a position to like be selective yet, but I would love to be able to, you know, dedicate my limited time to just the stuff that is like precisely where what's most kind of fulfilling and exciting and where I can bring the most value like to the person too. So I'm excited for that. I hope that's what's next.
We'll definitely check in and see over time. So, final question for you. Let's say you ran into an individual that was thinking about starting a business. Of course, they were struggling to get over that hump to actually start it, not unlike myself about three or so years ago. What kind of advice would you give them?
Um, I um it I guess two things. One, um, it's okay to not know what you don't know kind of thing. Like there's so much that will come up that you'll just respond to in the way that you're equipped to respond to it type thing. And then that will change with time, which is again like one of the best parts of this. But I don't come from a family of entrepreneurs. I didn't really have a lot of examples or people to get advice from, but my husband's aunt and uncle have been entrepreneurs pretty much their entire lives, and we were talking with them about do we do this, do we not do this, and relative to Bell Tower, and this moment stands like clear as day, and she just goes, "Jump in, the water is fine." And I was like, that
Yeah.
is insane. That's an insane thing to say. Um, because she was speaking from, 30 or more years in
Yeah.
their business, and the water really was fine. And I think of it often. I'm like, oh yeah, the water is fine. And kind of like jumping in because it really is like not to say you can't ever go back to a traditional career path or a salaried job, but it does feel like once you've jumped into that pool of water, it's like, oh, this is different. Like
Yeah.
everything is different.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I would go back at this point. It's just too creative and too fun and too evolving to maybe do something else. But jump in, the water is fine.
I love that. I wrote it down. So I'm going to steal it. I don't know where I'm going to use it, but I'm going to steal it and use it at some point.
Hmm.
But listen, I really, really appreciate you taking time
Yeah.
to spend it with me and our audience. If anybody wants to get a hold of you for any one of your multiple organizations, what's the best way to do it?
Yeah, I'm at studioinlay.com. The version of the website that's there today will be a better version, by early next year. So that my website and contact information, or my email and contact information is on the website, and that's definitely the best way to get a hold of me. I'm like very tech connected person just because of all that's going on, but I'm just inclined that way as well. So I'll see an email or a call and would love to hear from people. And then on the Bell Tower
Yeah.
side, we're super active on Instagram. It's a completely different kind of like process and way to connect, but um, yeah, if you message us there or we answer our info at email as a as a human being, someone answers those. So we're reachable on that side too. So and we're also
Awesome.
just at Bell Tower a lot. My office for Studio Inlay is there, and obviously the restaurant and everything is in that space. So
Yeah.
I'm often there.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, hopefully next time we're in Bell Tower Brewery, we'll get to see you. I can't
Yeah,
vouch for the architecture side of it, but I will say that the brewery is beautiful, the food is fantastic, and the beer is awesome as well. So for those of you
yeah,
out there that have not been to Bell Tower, please go
yeah.
because it is awesome.
It's been we didn't know it would go like this, but when my husband and our partner wanted to bring some beer to Kent. I was like, yeah, that's your thing, you guys. Like, I don't want any of it. And then we walked into this building that the space is an old church that was built in 1858. And I was like, I'm in. There's something for me. I want to do this part, as an interior
Yeah.
designer and an architect. Like, I'm in. I want this. And it's been amazing the way that it has kind of served as a laboratory for Studio Inlay. Most of the clients I have are Bell Tower customers first. They see kind of the space, they're like, wait a second, something's going on here. And it is exactly like updating a historic space for modern use so
Yeah.
that people can love and use that building. So it's everything like it all kind of works together and feeds into each other in a way that there's no way we could have if we had tried to do that, it would not have worked. So it's been really
Yeah.
nice the way that it has worked out. So
Well, I'm glad it did. So I'm certainly glad it did. Well, so once again, thank you very much for taking part in my interview
yeah.
series. For everybody out there listening, thank you again for listening to another episode of Mastering the Numbers, and we'll catch everybody in our next interview. Bridget, take care. Have a great
Thank you.
week.
Thanks for having me.
All right. See ya.
You've just tuned into another episode of Mastering the Numbers. We hope you found valuable insight to boost your financial success. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Keep pushing forward, and thanks for listening.